Maybe we shouldn't have told him.
He lifted a tractor with one finger, Martha. He was gonna figure it out.
I don't want him to feel different.
He is different, and it scares him, for good reason. Whoever put him in that ship had no idea or care for how dangerous a world they were sending him to. The more he knows, the more he can protect himself.
How do you update Superman? Superman's origin is like a kaleidoscope. It's about a baby being saved from a dying civilization and becomes a champion to another world. There are massive mythological and almost biblical connotations to it.
The son becomes the father, and the father the son.
However, when you twist it another way, you have an entirely new set of patterns. You can concentrate on the immigrant theming because Superman's premise is built on the experience of someone biologically from one place being raised in a culture of another. Or focus on how deeply tied the story is with traditional American myths, or even focus on him being the ultimate outsider because he's a child of two different worlds. Therefore, Superman compared to other superheroes is particularly abstract because he's so conceptually broad. He requires a careful mixture of big ideas and yet intimate interpretations to work.
I see the anger in you, but the truth is, you don't hate aliens. You're scared, terrified of them, even when they're not there.
And Superman Man of Tomorrow presents a particularly fun approach because, similar to Batman Year One, this is a symbolic origin story that explores what sort of cultural and societal change the character promotes and how it influences the collective imagination of an entire city. So let's dig in and have some fun!
That cinnamon really wakes it up.
Yeah, I think so too.
You should know that the last thing your mother ever said to you was that to dwell in the past is to lose one's path.
Fear is a powerful rhetorical influencer in human culture, from superstitious fears to scientific ones. Fear often directs how society conducts itself. However, as Frank Freddy argued, one of the distinguishing features of fear today is that it appears to have an independent existence. It is frequently cited as a problem that exists in its own right, disassociated from any specific object. For example, fear of crime is something that the police actively has to manage as much as crime.
It wasn't even that scary.
He just gets a little jittery.
And this cultural psychology is the abstract villain of Superman Man of Tomorrow. It opens with young Clark Kent staying over at a friend's house, watching a scary movie, and upon seeing how the portrayal of the alien monster scares him, Clark breaks down into tears. It's not his friend or even his own experience with people, but the way the rhetoric of fear has mapped out his future that broke his heart.
You're not one of us.
What are you talking about? I look like everyone else.
You're
an alien?
The idea that who he is doesn't have a place within the wider collective imagination. The story then jumps forward in time, and Clark is a mysterious flying man who helps Metropolis. People don't know he's an alien, but accept him anyway.
Listen up! The Flying Man is no longer the story. I want aliens!
Subsequently, the plot can be broken down into three basic conflicts. Act 1 is Superman versus Lobo. The main man himself is here to collect on the last son of Krypton. Then Act 2 is Superman teaming up with Martian Manhunter to fight Parasite, which leads to a disastrous fatality. Or it may seem anyways. And finally, in Act 3, Superman, Lex Luthor and Lobo begrudgingly team up to fight a massive kaiju-sized parasite to save Metropolis. In all three fights, Superman isn't just fighting a bigger and bigger threat, but he's also fighting within an increasingly tense culture of fear. His foes look less and less humanoid. People support Superman based on the assumption that he doesn't look alien, so he must be human. For example, the crowd cheers at the naked Clark after he beats up Lobo, but were previously horrified at the sight of Martian Manhunter when he comes to the rescue.
Let's get out of here. Tell me you're rolling. Roll tape.
Therefore, Superman is an invisible contradiction that no one knows. The hero from within is actually the other.
They meet someone from the stars and their first instinct is to fire at will.
They love you.
They don't know me.
However, the irony is that Parasite may resemble the typical alien monster from the beginning of the movie, but he's the most human out of all the characters. Rudy is a kind war veteran, supporting a wife and child as a janitor for LexCorp, and is a victim of the fighting from the real aliens. As a result, Parasite functions as a metaphor for the culture of fear itself. The more you try to attack him out of blind and impulsive desperation, the more he expands and consumes everything.
They have to hold their fire! It's only making him stronger!
He's indirectly a product of the human perspective. Another important player is Lois Lane, who is the symbolic embodiment of the TV from the beginning, the media force that controls and shapes people's identities. For instance, in her introduction, she utterly destroys Lex Luthor's career publicly by leaking an audio recording of his dirty deals.
I practically sat him in the Oval Office myself. He owes me.
Therefore, the significance of Lois Lane and the Daily Planet in this version of Superman are their centralized representational power, because they guide the public's imagination. And Superman is very specifically a product of this influence. One of the reasons, if not the main reason, why he's not feared is because he was labeled
the Superman.
Write it all you want, Lois. It's never gonna catch on.
As Jenkins argued, collective identification has nominal and virtual dimensions. The nominal is how group or category is defined in discourse. The virtual, how its members behave or are treated.
Superman?
You're right about my origins, Lois, but not my intentions.
Superman, in quotation marks, as a media construct holds a nominal dimension because by referring to him as a man, he's folded into the collective identity of the humans. Therefore, unlike other adaptations, the struggle of Superman and the establishment is purely symbolic. He has no delicate or dramatic relationship with the government. People just trust him. As a result, Lois Lane, Daily Planet, and the media in general has the power to include as much as exclude, because Superman cannot exist without them. For Clark, the big drama now comes from should he disrupt this media construct? And is it wise to let the world know Superman is actually an alien and possibly lose his membership? Lois wants to know, perhaps for the wrong reasons.
I'm winning a Pulitzer for my revelatory takedown of the alien who calls himself the Superman.
Clark wants everyone to know, and his parents support him to the extent that his costume is made from the materials he landed on Earth with.
I think you're saying you want me to tell the world who I really am.
However, Martian Manhunter challenges this optimism by saying,
I've seen firsthand how rampant xenophobia can destroy a great civilization. Humanity is to have a chance to thrive. We mustn't further stoke its fears.
But one of the weird aspects of the movie is that there isn't much risk involved. If it doesn't work out, Superman can just go back to being Clark again, because there's no antagonist like Gordon Godfrey promoting xenophobia or anything. Instead, there's only a big monster sucking the life out of innocent people. Everyone is rightfully afraid. On one hand, it could just be a really bad oversight in terms of the writing, but on the other hand, maybe that's the point.
John, this world is beginning to see me as some sort of champion. What if knowing the truth about me is what turns this around? It makes people see things differently.
There's an optimism to the movie that is actively being preserved. The people of Metropolis are friendly, and Clark's membership with humanity has made him a more positive person.
You are an optimist, Kal-El. Like your father.
Therefore, it fits the pattern that fear is a separate entity, an idea first that can be combated through representation as opposed to violence.
Whatever you've become, I know you're still the same as me.
Furthermore, the climax itself is not a physical confrontation, but an ideological one. Superman cannot defeat Parasite conventionally, but he can appeal to him and the people of Metropolis to alleviate their fears with his own story.
I was born in the last days of a dying planet. My parents' hope was that they had sent me to a world where I would be safe and protected. But the price of that protection, silence about who and what I really am, while others like me face persecution or worse. I was scared, but I'm not scared anymore. My name is Kal-El of Krypton, and I come in peace.
The overall narrative has an immensely glass-half-full perspective because Clark's optimism and connection with humanity are one and the same. Superman's faith with Parasite inspires him to greater heights, including his own sacrifice. And Lois Lane respects Superman enough to be patient for when he's ready for a full interview. In the end, Clark is smiling in the office of the Daily Planet as it's filled with Superman media. In contrast to the opening, the alien is now accepted within the public's imagination because fear is beaten by the power of Superman's narrative. Superman's most effective asset aren't his superpowers, but his symbolic value in expanding the barriers of who can be included. But how does all of this link back to Superman's original concept? Well, Superman's character was created as a response to the social problems of his time. In the original Action Comics #1 back in 1938, he was not a cosmic-powered superhero who fought aliens or robots, but fought against grounded inequalities. In page 5, he stops the execution of an innocent woman. In page 7, he fights a wife-beater. And in page 14, he fights against corruption. In the final words of the comic, it mythologizes him as a physical marvel, a mental wonder. Superman is destined to reshape the destiny of a world. Therefore, Superman's abstraction is rooted in the premise that he represents social change, where his outside equality as a powerful being would improve upon the social climate he shares with everyone else. As a result, Superman Man of Tomorrow harkens back to this definition, but the change he brings about is not in fighting people, but to fight ideas, and to alleviate the culture of disassociated fears. Superman was a champion of the working class before becoming the champion of the Earth, and alongside other adaptations, Superman is now seemingly transformed into becoming the champion of the other. In conclusion, I dug this movie. It's not the deepest thing in the world, but it goes back to a delightfully quaint definition of Superman while establishing an unbelievably fun foundation where Superman doesn't need to fight big villains, but big concepts associated with how collective identities are formed. And I think that's pretty cool.
Big, brave, strong man will be putty in my hands. He'll answer anything.
Huh?